Thank you for listening to The Luminous Mind, episode 86.
Is really important for people to understand what they're actually consuming. And we get so busy with life. I mean, we're busy too. It's just taking the time to realize it's natural for us to look at a product, look at what we're eating, plan ahead, having meals planned ahead, and knowing in that moment I'm not making a rash decision at the store or out to eat, because then it's too late.
Benjamin Franklin once said, "Do not curse the darkness, rather light a candle instead." If you're ready to set your mind on fire, then prepare yourself for the Luminous Mind with your host, Rebecca Bowman.
Today's fire starters are Core Frequency, Monica Pittman, and Annica Coombs. More than 5 years ago, Monica was extremely sick, and it took 2 years of searching and testing to find the root cause of her pain. She is diagnosed with Celiacs Disease, and they say it is a genetic disease, and that is where Annica got tested, and she was diagnosed as well. So they're twins. They're beautiful, too. They were given 2 pieces of paper on celiac disease and told to eat gluten-free diet to heal the body. It's been a journey for them, and education is key to health. They have had amazing, powerful results and are living proof that the body can heal, and sometimes we need a resource, education, and hope. Their company, Core Frequency, focuses on empowering others to find their inner strength and endless possibilities. They mentor and train, focusing on health, relationships, and better connections. They support each other to gain overall better health and wholeness, addressing all areas of relationships in your life to gain clarity and the next level of success. They believe in applying mentoring principles to open the mind, clear the heart, and connecting deeper. So welcome. How are you guys?
Thank you. We're good. We are absolutely well and fantastic. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's so fun to get to know you and chat and share our story and our experiences. So thank you.
It will be super fun. We've never had 2 people on, and like I said, you're identical twins and both absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
It'll be fun to talk about it. So you guys have a really fun story. Do you want to start off sharing a little bit more about yourself and then also the inspiration behind your company?
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Well, this is Monica. I was very sick over 5 years ago. Like you said, you were sharing some of our story. Because we're real women. We're moms. We're wives. We are educated. We love what we do. I found myself in a situation where I was very ill. And I didn't know what was going on, and it ended up being the foods I was eating. So I started diving into more what was going on with my body, and they came back. I finally got a scope, and it got diagnosed properly with Celiacs Disease, which is an autoimmune disease. And so they said, well, if anybody in your family has a genetic history of anything else like symptoms, I'm like, well, nobody else has these symptoms, but I do have a twin sister and we're identical. And they said, well, please send her in because it is a genetic thing. And then that led on the journey of Annica coming in, getting diagnosed, because my results were extremely high. With celiacs, they do a blood draw and they can do a panel. They can do all kinds of ways to test it. Well, my numbers were 249 at the time, and 0 to 8 was considered normal. So I was severely damaged inside, and that took us on a journey of healing because I didn't know where else to turn other than food was medicine. And we've been taught that our whole lives. And so we started diving into the food. And Annica went in and got her test shortly after.
Well, because Monica, hers was very outward. She was in a full-on rash. I mean, head to toe. I mean, it was summertime, and I don't know, here in Utah, like turtleneck doesn't really cut it.
No, not 90%. It was like the worst rash and blisters for 2 years. 2 years of being miserable like that, not being diagnosed properly. And multiple handfuls of doctors trying to understand it. And we're very natural, so we were trying to use all the resources that we had to find out what was going on causing this rash. And I knew about the body. Our mom's a fantastic body worker, and she taught us really early on that whatever is showing up on the outside is a resemblance of what's going on internally. That's what led me to go get scoped, honestly. I knew something was going on, and I was so damaged inside that they said it would take years to heal. And that literally it did.
That's what's interesting is that going, well, we're identical twins, so you'd think identically like DNA, we'd be the exact, but I wasn't having any outward symptoms. I wasn't having the rash or the typical like IBS symptoms that most people assume with a gluten sensitivity or celiac disease. Most of the people think, oh, it's either they can't keep food in or out. And I wasn't having any issues. And so I was really intrigued because I thought, well, at the time I had been going through about 8 years of infertility treatments, and we were trying to have another child. We have a child, he's now 11, and we didn't have any problems having him. And we just thought, oh, when we want children, we'll just have them. It won't be that big of a deal. And so when we had him, it really wasn't a big deal to us. We didn't go to any doctors. We just had him naturally and not a big deal. And then when we wanted to have our second child, that's when we were not getting answers and it wasn't happening. And so, like I said, I'd been on this journey for years with infertility drugs, anywhere from natural things to very heavy things. We did 2 rounds of in vitro fertilization, which if anybody's ever been through that, it can be very costly. It actually to the point where I actually stopped my teaching job. I teach full time. That's my background as an educator. And so I was at the doctor so much that I literally could not work and be at the doctor at the same time. And it took me on an emotional roller coaster too. So I literally kind of checked out from life because I was so depressed as a woman going, why am I not able to create again? It just really hit me to the core of an issue of being a woman and being a creator. And
there was nothing medically wrong with you.
No, and I wanted to create life. That was my focus. I want to create. There was nothing wrong that they could prove, or my husband. And so for that journey of years, I was like, well, we turned to the doctors and said, basically I remember turning my body over and saying, do whatever you want. When I went through the process in vitro and having both times come back as negative, they were just baffled because everything looked so good in the tests and the labs and medically that they could not figure out why every time they implanted the eggs it would reject or it wouldn't turn into a positive pregnancy. And so,
well, and she went to a really extreme specialist that is a specialist here in Utah and in California. So
I sought after the best and everything. Like I said, I did very naturalistic things as well. I did a lot of dualities, and I also did a lot of like medical things too. So I felt like I was doing everything possible. And when Monica got diagnosed, I thought, well, I'll just go in and kind of figure it out. We'll just go see. And so I had
we do everything together, So
I went in and had my blood drawn, and my numbers were extreme. I was a little less than 200. Again, looking at my blood work going,
no outward symptoms.
No outward symptoms. And he said, well, this is considered asymptomatic. And so basically I had no outward symptoms, but the damage was happening when I would eat the food, having the allergy to it, and it would trigger my autoimmune response. And so my body was on constant attack. And so I thought, well, if that's all I have to do is cut out the gluten, I can do that. That's going to be like cake work after everything I've been through. And so it's been such a fun journey to actually heal through celiacs, and we go in every year. And a class we teach in the public, we actually do help people with knowing how to get diagnosed and the proper steps. And there's a few ways that people can go about knowing if they want to do blood work or scopes, or there's some other things that we've found through our studying. And I wanted to go in and have the scope because after the blood work, I wanted to know the internal damage as well. And it was very similar. He actually pulled up me and Monica's charts, and he's like, you guys look identical on the inside, and which fascinated us because she having outward symptoms, I didn't, but yet we both had some damage internally that I could have gone on for years and had no idea that this was happening, and linking it to the foods that I was eating. And so it kind of opened our eyes to what was going on with the foods. We were raised grinding our own wheat. We cooked from scratch. I mean, literally, like our mom taught us how to cook well, but what the food we were eating did not realize it was causing damage. And then doing the study, what we found with the foods and just making that alteration has made the world of a difference. Because now we're actually expecting a baby again in 4 weeks. We're actually down to
that's exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. And my doctor cried when I went in. I literally, I was kind of stunned, I'm pregnant. And we tried everything. And who would have known, clearing up the diet 5 years later, that my body naturally has now produced a beautiful baby. And we'll have another baby here in, like I said, about 4 weeks. And it's just been hopefully to give people hope out there that the bodies can heal. Maybe they're not wanting to create life. Maybe they want to create something differently. Maybe they just want to get out of bed and feel good or know how to travel and eat. And there's so many ways we love to help people with food allergies, especially with gluten.
Well, because it's kind of a buzzword in the community. And we have people that come to our class all the time or want our help and resource because they don't understand living a gluten-free lifestyle. It is a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
It adjusts going out to eat, parties. I mean, our home, our environments, everything's surrounded by food. I always tell people, you try going a few days without food and see what happens. Because that's literally what I tried at the beginning, and it didn't work. But there are ways to simplify it, to cut out things. And there's so many reasons why people would live a gluten-free lifestyle. The emotions play just as much of a role because we're mentors and trainers too, and we know the value of having the emotional component behind it. You know, we started our journey, we started actually healing very well about 2 years into it. And then my husband got cancer, and all my symptoms came back. So I had the diet, and I was eating very well, and his cancer came on, and I started gaining weight like crazy. I was almost 200 pounds. And then that led us on another journey of dealing with the emotional part of celiacs. If you study the organ, the small intestine, which is the organ that celiacs attacks in particular, it's about what to let go and keep in your life. And I was holding on to so much anger and frustration and sadness and pain that I literally was wearing it. So I literally went on this journey for 7 months, and I had released 65 pounds in that time frame.
Wow.
I mean, I'm this like 5'5", I was 200 pounds, I'm down to like 130 now. And so and I maintained it for 2 years now. Maintained it, dealing with the emotions and managing the food. And so there's a whole variety of things and symptoms that people would have. So that's kind of what took us on the health and wellness journey, because we really like to emphasize the power of food and relationships in our life. They're very powerful. So
I just was going to say, when we were first diagnosed, the doctor, I remember like Monica cried. The doctor said, here's your 2 pieces of paper. Good luck to you.
Yes. I was gonna ask you about that.
and he literally, he has celiacs. That's what we're like, you're the doctor, so he could diagnose us. He says, I don't live the lifestyle, so good luck to you. And as she was telling her story, I just thought, what a blessing this has been. Yeah. This has really taken us on a journey that we've had the opportunity to go study and learn and help people. And if he would have just, I don't know, I look at it now going, this is such a blessing, because we've really researched and we've really tried to help people with our intention of helping them to simplify their time and their money and the investment with healing. And so now I see it as such a blessing, like, thank you for the journey it's been on.
That we can help. Results. Like, and it's over and over, and there's
absolutely.
2 of us with different symptoms, like total wide scale. That's why the doctors are fascinated by us and love studying us. It's like we've got the wide spectrum. You've got one end of it and the other end of it. And then the emotional part, like I remember thinking, I'm going to die, and I'm different now, and I'm broken. Any kind of disease or autoimmune, autoimmune in particular, we love studying that. So just to remind people, you're not broken. You're not. Things happen, and you can get through it, and you're stronger because of it. Yeah. And I just think of all the people we get to help now because of it. So having gratitude's huge in life. I would.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just know, you guys got 2 pieces of paper with instructions of a diet and kind of how to try to heal that way. How has your paradigm changed from the 2 pieces of paper to what you do now?
Oh my gosh.
Our binders now, and I mean binders, we are constantly gathering resources, constantly going, getting education, I'm researching, and we're kind of testing it out there too. Like Monica's got a 20-minute window where
it's fun, really fun.
Going out to eat's been very fun, and helping people know restaurants that we approve of, and like, these are good places to go, if you're going to go eat out or have a social event. And Monica has a 20-minute window that she will break out, and literally her hands will crack and break out. And so it's kind of been this joke, like Monica eats first, and then we gather the evidence, and then we can go back and report to the public. Because see, I wouldn't have the breakouts, And
yeah, you would never tell.
No. And so some companies, they've hired us actually just to come in and help them set up a gluten-free kitchen or gluten-free options. It's fun to see companies taking that option and helping them train their staff to be ready, because our resources are, we're writing 2 books right now. We do audios. We've
got a video series that we're leading. So from 2 pieces of paper to what we've created, and on top of, oh my goodness, I think we teach about 6 different programs, anywhere from teaching children from 8 to 12 in the schools on up to teenage girls, and personally mentoring with people. We've really created quite a bit in the last few years just from 2 pieces of paper.
A little bit more than 2 pieces of paper.
That's funny. So yeah, I'm kind of going with that and working with all the different people. Have you seen other symptoms that people may see as they're dealing with gluten-free stuff? I actually think I have an intolerance to gluten myself. And I just know when I eat gluten, I gain weight. I feel horrible, all those things. So what other symptoms have you seen? Because you talked kind of about weight gain, rashes.
It used to be 200 symptoms, and this year alone it's 300 symptoms now. And we go through we have a file, it's called Dr. Me. It's an amazing thing that people can go through, and they just mark the symptoms. They're not really realizing that it's a gluten thing. And here's why the gluten is such an issue. Like, all our 5 years of studying boils down to the protein in the wheat that people aren't digesting, because there's a huge difference between having celiacs, which is an actual autoimmune disease that your body attacks its own organs, versus a sensitivity where you can still get sick from it, but your organs are not being damaged. And so that's the huge difference, where you can be sensitive to it and still get a headache or feel sick to your stomach.
Or brain fog.
Or brain fog is huge.
People that they just can't think, and they're going, what is it?
Yes.
Brain fog is, we have a younger brother, and he does not have celiacs, but he has gluten sensitivities. And he's in college right now, and oh my goodness, he says every time he has gluten, he can tell. He's trying to study for all these tests.
And
he's like, I can't even think. I can't even remember I'm kind of in this daze. So brain fog is huge. And
I think with women too, I had a doctor tell me, because I asked, well, when did this start? And they said, well, you could have had it from when you were early on. If you were sick, because I kind of had stomach issues growing up, but not like the rash stuff. And so I was always just very sensitive with my foods, and I ate really well. And little did I know it was the gluten in particular. But when I had my last baby, it was an emergency C-section, and there was a lot of trauma involved. I actually almost died. I was bleeding to death, and they needed to get her out. And there was a lot of trauma involved with my body. And I was black and blue for 2 months. And all I wanted to do was get her here. And so I just said, you guys have got to get her here safely. And I just remember that sacrifice at that point going, my body will heal. But I had a doctor tell me that any traumatic event can trigger celiacs. It can trigger an autoimmune disease. It can bring it out of the woodwork.
Like turning the light switch on.
Yeah, it's like flipping the switch. Same with my husband's cancer. It came back. All my symptoms came back in a different way because of a trauma. It doesn't have to be because of a trauma, but something to consider that I didn't even realize. And then when I put 2 and 2 together, I was like, I could have been struggling a lot longer than I didn't even realize. So, there's a huge list of symptoms. We talk about some on some of our videos. Like I said, there's over 300. It's just the brain fog, I think, is the biggest one people don't realize. And it can take days to find that out, too.
And skin, too. I wanted to mention this with skin because Monica was having the outward rash. I was struggling with adult acne, and we were into our 30s, and it was like, this is frustrating. And I'd see a lot of people go, oh my goodness, I tried so many products under the sun. My skin looks amazing now. It's healed so much. I healed my gut. I healed the core of me, and that represented on my skin. So I was trying topically everything, but until I healed the internal. So acne, especially with adults, can be a big thing to watch for. But headaches, anywhere from migraines to headaches to upset tummy to...
But that's why children, if they get labeled ADD or ADHD or any type of learning thing, they do get referred to us because their parents are trying to understand how to help feed the children.
Or autism.
Or autism.
A lot of autism spectrum, you consider doing a gluten-free diet, and that tends to help a lot with behavior. Because that can be a big trigger. All of a sudden, people in general just act differently, and sometimes it can be a stem from the food. And so those are some of the symptoms.
Well, you've got these sensitive bodies, and I feel like these kids are becoming even more sensitive because it's little kids that they're having more. We have seen there's a huge break in these little kids when they're trying to eat different. Their parents are just searching for answers and help, and these kids are really sensitive. And then you throw on top of it the food and just being aware that the protein, like I was saying in the gluten, it's the protein that you actually don't digest with celiacs or having a gluten sensitivity. At the time, what was the number? It was 5 times larger protein to digest.
So when they're making the wheat, that's the depression time. Everything's been altered so much that it's not even the wheat that we know of years ago. Literally wheat has evolved and changed that now the protein strands, like Monica's saying, it's not even the amount that we can digest.
Well, and I've heard this is kind of an American problem because, I have friends that go overseas or whatever, and they can't eat the bread here, but they go over to Europe or something, and they're totally fine with it. So do you feel that way? And what's wrong with our American diet and our whole way we approach things?
Well, we can't wait to go over to Europe to test it, and then we can give you our factual
sponsor that would love to sponsor the Christian ever.
I'm in there too, so I'll go.
Let Let's go. Yeah, absolutely. We live in a fast-paced society. Everything's quick fix. We want to take it. I mean, I made lunch today and it took 20 minutes and it was fantastic to watch all my kids come and eat and the family, and we gather around food, and sometimes we get caught up in it's got to be really quick and processed quick. And like we teach a class called Getting Back to the Basics, where it really is getting back to the basics of food. We study the doctrines of signature, which is about food. Like literally, we believe that like there's a stamp on all the food that's been created. You've got an orange that's created like an orange. You got an apple that's created like an apple. And you've got these things that if they start getting man-made too much, then our body doesn't recognize it. It literally doesn't recognize it. Then it doesn't know how to process it, digest it, eliminate it, or assimilate it. Like it doesn't know what to do with it. Then we start getting sick, and we're wondering, why are we so sick?
And watching the numbers increase, I mean, wow, we've been a part of quite a few expos and conferences, and the amount of people that are now increasing to come because they're looking for education and knowledge, it's baffling us. That's just, we're always watching to see the numbers, and it literally, they are increasing to such a rate that we're constantly prepared to help. How can we help more?
And products are one thing, but education is another.
Yeah.
And, you can have good products, and we will promote products that are good and they take good care in their stuff. But we really believe in clean food, whole food, getting back to the basics.
Because we, through our journey too, we ate extremely well. I mean, we won't necessarily go into the diet part.
So did you do like whole? A lot of people will go like non-fat, and they go. No. I mean, all the typical stuff we hear. All the typical stuff we hear of like no fat, no sugar, they're trying to do that type of clean. But I've actually heard that like our body doesn't know what to do with non-fat stuff, is that...
We don't count calories. We are just very, we want to make it.
I don't understand it.
Yeah.
That sounds bad, but I don't understand calorie counting.
Make it simple. I want it to be, taste good and be nutritional. And how basic can I have this, but yet taste really good? And so we really just turned to each other and said, what are we going to eat? And
like clean food would look like for breakfast, I now have some chickens, which I've kept alive, and I'm so excited about them being alive in an egg production. So I enjoy French chicken. It's a big accomplishment.
It would be an accomplishment for me. Wow, I kept them alive.
And we've got eggs now. And I love, for breakfast, it's like we do eggs and omelets with fresh vegetables, like seasoning. And I'm actually, in our life, we both talked about this before, we're so satisfied with our life in all areas because there was a lot of unsatisfaction, including our food. And so it's getting to the satisfaction of being really satisfied. I can eat smaller meals. I don't eat as much.
I don't either.
I have pictures of me when I was 200 pounds. I was eating all gluten-free, but it was huge plates of, we'd have products, people would want to give us samples. We went through a phase of just bloating because they were all gluten-free products, really full of gluten-free stuff, but it was a lot of carbs and refined stuff, a lot of high sugars, a lot of high calories, a lot of high carbs that our bodies still didn't know what to do with.
And they do run through you quickly, right?
Yes.
That's why you can eat like smaller quantities because it actually, the whole foods stick with your body versus just being flushed out.
It truly is. And it's getting to just eating lots of fruits and vegetables. Like we go in we do an experiment with our clients and we go, hey, here's the gluten-free aisle and it's all produce. Like it really is. There doesn't have to be a gluten-free stamp on everything, but being a label reader is really important. Watching what they're putting in food is really important for people to understand what they're actually consuming. And we get so busy with life. We're busy too. It's just taking the time to realize it's natural for us to look at a product, look at what we're eating, plan ahead, having meals planned ahead and knowing in that moment I'm not making a rash decision at the store or out to eat because then it's too late. Or if I'm traveling and I haven't researched where I'm going and I have a sensitivity, now I know ahead of time where I can eat and what I shouldn't eat because you don't want to ruin your trip.
Well, and some labels, like you said, it may be a gluten-free aisle, but like my son noticed the other day, cheese balls are gluten-free.
Well, and to be really, really careful, I read a product earlier this month, and it said on its packaging, its way it's worded it, so it's just being really careful. It said actually on it,
no gluten-free ingredients.
Exactly. No gluten-free ingredients, but it did not say gluten-free, and I got very sick in 20 minutes. And so,
And we actually contacted the manufacturer, and it was the oats in there, because oats can be a subject that you just got to be really careful because of either the way they process it or the way our bodies eliminate it. And just some people just don't do well with oats, with gluten sensitivities and celiacs. And it was the oats in there. And so the company considered that okay because it wasn't the wheat or the gluten. but yet they are actually really grateful we caught that and they pulled it off the shelves.
So it can be barley, rye, oats. It's not just about gluten. It's the products that our body's not assimilating that protein.
That's interesting. Before we go on, let us take a minute and hear about our sponsors.
Hello, fire starters. It's Mark here. I know there comes a time each week when you listen to all the Luminous Mind podcasts that are available, and in a sad voice you ask yourself, what am I to do now? Well, despair no more. Just go to theluminousmind.net and start your free 30-day trial from Audible and download 2 free audiobooks. Now you can fill that downtime while you wait for the next Luminous Mind podcast with a great book from the world's largest selection of professionally narrated audiobooks. You can choose from over 180,000 titles, including new releases and bestsellers, and you can exchange any book you don't love anytime, no questions asked, with a great listen guarantee. So until the next episode, start reading and keep the fire burning.
Welcome back to the Luminous Mind with Monica and Annica from Core Frequency. Wow, well, we've had fun talking kind of all these questions that I have for you, but what services, I mean, you've talked about some of them, but what services do you offer families and students?
Well, the one we teach in the community is called Raw and Real. People can come to that class. They can get more education on how to, anywhere from diagnosis to I've got questions about gluten-free or sensitivity. And that's a no-charge class. People can come to the community. We teach that once a month. And then from that class, if people want, I want to know more. I've either been diagnosed or I just want to skip that and go straight to tell me more. The class that Monica talked about, Back to the Basics, that is the day class that we teach. And we provide a really yummy lunch that's healthy that people don't have to worry about bringing food in, and they get a mentor with us during the lunchtime. And it's just a really fun day class that people can come and learn more about food allergies, sensitivities, and also the other relationships in the life. There are different areas, not just food in the body, and we love to cover a little bit more in depth. So those people who are searching for more of a day class, that one has an investment that people can come. You get 2 mentors that train you, and we get to help you more with specifics and questions in a group setting. And then from there, we have a 6-month group. Well, actually,
we have a new one. We have a 90-day group mentoring where it's 4 appointments. It could be personal or group mentoring. And then we do a 6-month group mentoring, and then we do a 1-year personally mentoring. Yeah. So we just altered that because we found people wanted a little bit more. So we did the 90-day, and that one's been fantastic to help people, especially through the summer. If they know that they can, if I can have the 90 days to go through the summer and have support and guidance, that works really well. And other times people want it through the holidays. And so it's been really nice to help people with whatever amount they're looking for, whether it's 90 days or more of a 6-month or a year with us. At least we give options to people that they can choose in, and they can customize what they're wanting for their education. So absolutely. We do offer on Facebook. If people follow us on Facebook, you're welcome to go like us and follow us on Core Frequency. We offer a bunch of free trainings, free videos. Our website has some trainings, but we do actually follow quite a bit with Facebook, updating the service in the community and people that way. They can check out that. We have all kinds of free things that we do on there where there's no cost. They can just go on and get some education. We're creating a video training series where it's going to be available to people coming up in the next few months, and a radio show. So it's going to be fantastic. We have all kinds of options for people to be able to stay connected.
And cookbook.
And a cookbook. And a twin book.
We've had so many people request our recipes that we're getting that into completion and processing right now. So that will be done as well. So if they're following us on Facebook, all that information will be we constantly update. And it's a fun way people can ask us questions and communicate through the social media. So they can always like us on Facebook. And
we put our dates of events that we speak at. Like I said at the beginning, we're moms and wives, and we have real lives. And so we do pick things to go attend and be participating in. So our calendar will always be posted online, and people can always contact us at our office at corefrequency.com and leave us messages, or personally message us on Facebook too. So that's been a fun way for people to stay connected. It's all about connections.
And then another thing we teach that's it's kind of off the topic, but it's so cool, because my degree with education is, oh my goodness, I just love this part. As an educator, I absolutely loved going through mentoring school and like learning how to be a mentor. And I kept having this program come to me on how to help children. And I was seen in the schools as a teacher going, I just think these kids need more. Like helping the adults, we can help the children too. And so we actually went out and piloted, I created a program, and we piloted this a few years ago, and it's been so fun to help the community and schools in specific. If they're looking for more education, it's a fun way that we come in and teach and help educate the children ages 8 to 12, because we're really passionate about helping these children that they had life skills before going into junior high and high school. Because we're seeing such a decline in suicides and depression in the teenagers, that why are we not teaching them? They totally catch on. And so it's this beautiful program that
the suicide rate today, I read, it was 11 to 13-year-olds and 35 to 40-year-olds. And the numbers are astounding. So if we can get into the schools and help these children, homeschools, charter schools, public schools, I mean, we get in and we can help teach these kids simply. They get it, they understand it, then they're empowered. They are the heroes of this next generation, and why not empower them in a way? So it's different than celiacs and food.
But it was just one other thing that was coming, and we created it and went with it, and it's phenomenal. And helping the schools right now and the community, because we've done it in both areas with schools and community. But it's a fun way if people are looking for additional resources. At least there's a program out there that we as mentors come in and teach, and as educators, it's called the Arise program, and we'd love to help people out more with that. Our hearts are very driven for helping the children too. So.
Well, and you see such a big problem with kids. I mean, with obesity and, like you said, depression and suicide rates, and, just the overall feeling just horrible about yourself. I mean, you also kind of talked about that, and we've discussed your food and cooking and that type of lifestyle, but you've also discussed, like, the other component of, like, the emotions and what do you recommend there? I mean, do you also help with counseling and stuff like that?
Well, we are not licensed counselors or clinicians. We're not therapists.
We're not doctors. We always make people sign that. We
have a waiver. We are educators, mentors, teachers, trainers. We love taking what we have learned and helping people empower their own life, that they are in charge and responsible for their decisions. That makes them responsible, that they can respond to situations and they're not acting out. They're just not reacting to life. That it teaches them, especially the children at a young age, if they do understand emotions. And emotions are the fuel that drive us. So if you have clean energy, clean fuel that you're putting through, and the kids get all into this, as much as the adults do too, but the kids tend to be like, they have less life experiences going on. They've learned, they haven't learned some other things that they can heal and fix and recreate. Is a little bit different. And so with both the children and the parents, it's helping them understand what emotions even are. I mean, emotions really do drive us in our thoughts and how we manage them, and we'll get different results if we have the thoughts and the emotions in alignment. So it's all about having different results, what they want out of their life, and empowering these kids really to have different results, what they want. Some kids want to be better at sports, or they don't know where they're going, and we've come in and they're like, now I know what I want to do with life. Now I know this is what I want to be. This is who I am to be. And it's fun to see that age be so unique of going, this is who I'm going to be.
Get rid of that cloud fog that you're talking about.
Yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely.
And part of it is helping them with good food choices too, because that is part of, we believe that.
What do you mean? We grew up with soda pop in our high school, junior high. That wasn't food choices? Not. We had vending machines too.
Yes.
Yes.
But there is this big shift happening that people are really wanting to know more about health and education. They want that in the schools. They want that in the community. They want that in homeschool groups. They want that. And sometimes it's not necessarily coming from mom.
Yes.
Like some of the best lessons have been from other adults, and I'm so grateful for other adults coming and teaching my older son. And I've had a lot of parents leave us testimonials like, thank you. I could have told them the same principle or taught them the same story, and they don't even hear because it's mom or dad teaching it. And it's like, oh my goodness, it's two other people teaching and training. And they like, oh my gosh, this is like wisdom, you know?
The favorite class I have a 13-year-old, and she's like, Mom, that was a great class you put me in. I enrolled her in Annica's class at the time. And she goes, I learned all this stuff. And I was like, I know, I haven't been teaching you any of that at all. It's all brand new to me, too. I know. But just like letting them know, you know, even it was your aunt and you still understood it in a different way. And just, I see the children, even though they get it differently. And sometimes it's not from a parent source. It needs to come from an outside source. That's what we're here, all support each other. Everyone has their part. And we're just really passionate about our part in life and helping people understand about connections. And we're not here to be alone and do it alone, truly.
That is awesome. That's great. You talked about a little bit about the success that you've seen, but what is some success that you've seen, and how do you feel like families can benefit from your products?
That they're happy. They actually want to get out of bed and have relationships with each other.
They're connected more.
They want to do things together as a family. And I think starting with our families too, I mean, I felt like we both kind of had these gaps of like, we as moms weren't feeling good. And it's like, didn't realize how much we do as moms in our home. We are like that epicenter. And it's like, oh my goodness, you take mom down, she don't feel good, or she just has no energy, has no drive in her life. And then it's like, it ripples to the kids and the husbands. I mean, you know, we felt that as women anyway. Just healing us has really helped heal a lot of our relationships too. And having more connections. Like we've always had good families, but man, I just feel that strength of, we really are more bonded and connected than we've ever been before. And it's really applying good food, good mentoring principles, good practices in our home, and forgiving quicker, you know, letting people be who they are in your own home and not trying to make people be who they aren't, if that makes any sense.
Or fix disease, or like it's not families. I mean, family's everything to us anyways. And it's, when I see my family starting to be happier and healthier, it just vibrates out into the world. I mean, it truly does. Then they go to school, and it's this ripple effect, and it started literally with me as the mom. It really did. I've seen a huge impact, and even in my husband's attitude.
Oh, yes.
And just having a different connection, it really does take one to develop a relationship. But we believe it takes two to have connections.
Well, and that good positive energy, like you said, it definitely does have a rippling effect.
Oh, it does. You try pumping your kids up nice and happy. We do like declarations before our kids go to school. They have a great day when we pick them up. It's happy versus the days where it's like, you're late to school. We got to run. We didn't prepare time-wise.
I'm too tired for this.
Yeah.
I don't have...
What do you mean you have homework? School starts in 10 minutes. That's never happened ever. But we love body language and watching the children. If their heads are low, that's an indicator. Watch what your children are doing. Technology does pull your head down a lot. And just go stand outside with your children and look at the sky. We've got some beautiful weather going on constantly. And just getting out for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, getting the body up and out, opening up to different things and different possibilities. To look upward is a huge indicator. Like, kids love it too. I love it too, but yeah. Husbands, on the other hand,
we can only speak from our perspective.
I'll just tell my husband, hey, I really need you to look up that tree. I think there's a nest up there. And, I really don't do that. Well, I've done it once, but you know, you be the example. You go first. It's not about you telling your family, because like this was big with celiacs. People ask us this often with, well, do you change your whole family's diet and food and they have to do it with you? There's no have-tos in my house. Mm-hmm. I make one meal for me, and everyone else can choose into it, or they have other options. I always want my kids to be able to be a decision maker. I really believe, and I know Annica does too, that it is about making decisions and choice in life. It's not a good or bad decision. My children have a bowl of fruit every morning. They can choose an apple, an orange, a strawberry. They have choice. The orange isn't any badder than the apple. If that's good English, huh?
That's better.
Awesome. But you get the point that the orange has its value, the apple has its value. And if my kids are taught that, you have to make a good decision constantly, please just make a decision, be a decision maker, because sometimes you'll have two really good choices to make, and you've got to know what's right for you. You've got to choose
checking in with that internal, because there's sometimes like, I want grapefruits, and my son's like, well, I want an apple. And I so praise him and say, I'm so glad you were checking in and honored that inner wisdom, that inner voice that you feel prompted that my body needs that, instead of, well, I guess mom's having grapefruit, so I have to have them too. I love teaching them to trust yourself.
It's different than the 7-year-old that goes, but Mom, I really need ice cream every night. Okay, now that's, the sugar's a little bit different of voicing your pet.
But it's so, like, honestly, like, I bought Monica the shake one time. It was a smoothie in the store, and I literally, the gut feeling, that gut intuition that I had, I mean, it was all gluten-free, all healthy. It was a really good brand. And my gut told me, do not get that bottle. And I looked at it, and I was like, the expiration date was fine. Everything was fine. I couldn't see anything bulging or weird. It just didn't feel right to me. But I was like, no, I'm just going to get it and go. And I gave it to her.
Mind you, we were at an event, and I needed to be really on it. Yeah.
Yeah, and feel really well. And
feel well and have energy.
I gave her the drink, and it
was fermented.
Let's just say one swig, and it was a huge swig, and it literally, she was sick.
I was so sick.
Just that one gulp. It was, and I didn't realize from the outward appearance, but my gut told me, do not buy that. And I didn't honor it. And I'm like, I'm so sorry.
I forgive quickly.
Yeah. just to teach people that if you're feeling that craving or that inner, oh my goodness, that I'm trusting that gut feeling, just studying that is so fun to have people.
Like, I crave cherries like crazy right now, and they're really good for inflammation. And I'm like, thank you, buddy, for telling me that cherries were important to go study and learn about. And yeah, you can have too much of a good thing, too.
Yeah.
But like you said, I love how you're talking about using that inner voice that we all have and teaching your children to do that, because those are indicators. I mean, those are put there for a reason, for you to avoid things that might be harmful, or your body craving something that it really needs. I mean, it's going to tell you if you actually listen.
Well, I mean, even scientifically, they've proven it to be like a second brain. So it's not just a made-up thing. That really is. You have centers that run all the way from your stomach, the viscera, the abdominal area. They run all the way up through the brain and all through the subconscious and conscious mind. And it really is a real thing, not a made-up hoo-hoo thing. It's really real.
Well, I have a daughter who has a lot of food allergies, and I thought she's just a huge picky eater. But as she's gotten older and she's been able to express, like, well, this one hurts my throat, or this one does this to me, now I understand. And so as a parent, I like how you're, let's encourage the children. If they don't want to eat it, don't force it. Well, because they do know.
Well, to me, ultimately, my children are going to be adults one day. That's the plan. That's the plan, that they will be like law-abiding citizens and out in the world and community doing good and whatever they bring to the world. And I want them to be empowered to be able to be a decision maker big time. So
studying the food, it really does stem with other choices. It's really fascinating, like helping people. There's some people that they don't even crave food. They don't even want to even take a risk or a mistake in a food. And it's really fun to help people mentor and process that and go, and to really help them individually going, oh my goodness, I didn't realize why I wasn't even.
Or a memory. Like sometimes it's been, I didn't realize as a child that was a memory that was in there. And as soon as they clear it and heal it, you just create an amazing life. And it's not even an issue anymore. It really isn't. So that's where mentoring is different, because it helps people be empowered to make a decision, and then they're responsible for their life. They're responsible, and they have different choices to make to move forward in their life. And they're the ones that are accountable, and we support and guide them along the way. So we love mentoring. It's, yes.
Like we talked about, I mean, you following that natural instinct. That's awesome.
Yeah,
so.
It is.
You talked about a cookbook coming out and some other things like that, but what are some of your long-term goals, and what kind of legacy do you hope to leave?
Oh, long-term goals. I have wanted for 3 years now, in 2015, I want to create a center in a school where people can come and be empowered, that they can come learn some ways that maybe you're not getting in the school system, maybe that you're not getting out in the community, maybe just a different type of school. It's going to be fun. It's going to be really playful. I teach art as well. This is Monica. I teach art as well. And art is very powerful, very, very powerful to understand how to help children in particular through art, and adults too, because sometimes we forget to be creative and have that creative time. Like, it actually produces a hormone that generates happiness. If we would take 15 minutes a day of just doing something, grab a coloring book, go grab your doodle pen, whatever you're doing.
Just put down the iPad.
Go down, just for 15 minutes. You would be surprised. It actually generates that happy emotion. Our bodies have these emotions and this power that runs through us. So creating a school long-term is something I definitely, and I know Annica does too.
Oh, yes.
Just empowering women, children, men, families, uniting people, helping them with connections, And that's ultimately our long-term goal, where people can come learn how to have healthier foods. Their choices they have all kinds of choices with education, classes, foods they can eat. They can choose into food. And for me, I have no problem with gluten. I meet a lot of people that are gluten-free, and they're so angry with the gluten-free industry. I'm not angry. I remember at the beginning I was, and that anger actually didn't serve me very well. It didn't. It stopped a lot of things in my life, and it taught me that, it's not about being angry at what's going on in my life. Yeah, I have an autoimmune disease, but it doesn't stop me. I actually have fibromyalgia, and what's the other one I got thrown at? What's that label? Fibromyalgia. Those two are really hefty diagnoses to be had over the last 5 years with serious autoimmune diseases where it could cripple and debilitate me. But I don't. I get up every day.
Chronic fatigue. That's what it was.
Was that what it was?
Yeah.
I don't struggle with it. I know how to manage it. That's what the thing about autoimmune is, it flares, and I know how to manage it. So managing stress is really important. Even with children, when they go to do testing and stuff, we teach things in the school. Like, we love brain gym. We love whole brain learning. We love helping people understand how to just have fun in learning. Mm-hmm. Like, literally, if kids can be taught at an early age that learning is fun, like, they will naturally be taught naturally. So,
and I want animals. Like, I really want to teach the kids back to get into the earth, and this is where food comes from. And we personally have goats, and we're the only ones in our city that have them. And probably people think we are nuts, but it's okay. Our goats are so amazing. I've watched what it's done for my son, and it's given him responsibility and know how to take care of an animal, and watching a goat be born and having that responsibility. I think every child needs to have that experience of, having animals to take care of and raise. And it can be from chickens to goats to a kitten to, just
fish. Fish are fun.
Having some nice that they can have something to care for and learn from nature. And let's garden again. Let's teach the kids how to plant a garden and how to grow healthy food. And I just think encompassing that all into a beautiful center to help educate is our long-term goal. Love to be a part of that. So.
Yeah, because when we go into schools, it's fun to help the kids ask where they know where food comes from or what this means. And just the answers we get, I just love kind of getting a pulse on the planet to see where the kids are at with, like, well, that's not where it really comes from a real chicken. Yeah, that's where eggs really come from. Like, does this come from the store? Well, they go to the store, but in reality, helping kids understand how things, like, there's an art to it. There's an art to how the food flows in our life. It's a flow, and we take care of the earth, it's going to take care of us, and just really help empowering these kids. And school's really important. Education's really important. Like, we're enrolled in the School of Life forever, and it never ends.
I really enjoy how you're talking about kind of breaking through that tradition. Sometimes not our old traditions, but sometimes the old traditions are good to get back to. But just our society norms are so unhealthy for us that we have to break out of that and kind of find things that are going to cause us to be healthier and cause us to, our mindsets to be changed a little and become just a better, healthier society. So that's awesome. So, and your legacy, I mean, you talked about education. Do you have anything more that you want to add to that, or?
I want to leave a legacy of hope to people, and that the body is amazing. I think we've been giving amazing bodies and honoring that just celebrating the world we live in, and there's so much good out there, and having that focus, that legacy that our bodies are amazing, and honoring the creation that we have. That's one legacy I'd love to leave.
Well, and for me, I just feel very blessed and privileged to be able to come to this earth with Annica. Like, it's an honor to be able to come as a twin. And not all twins get this. It can be like a sister that I'm really connected with, or a family member, or a really good friend, or my spouse. But truly, if you understand connections and how to deepen them and strengthen them, like, that's what I want people to know, is that we're all here to connect. We're all here to be together with people. However we bring it to the earth, we just happen to come as twins, and we get to help people understand about love and connections and forgiveness and trust, and along the way, fun things with gluten and emotions and things like that, and so many funny stories. We could go on with stories that it's I was looking at her like, I'm not telling some of those, but like, we've had so many experiences that we just enjoy life. We enjoy connecting to our bodies now. I was so disconnected from my body. Trauma in my life out the wazoo, but it taught me that I can heal emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically. I am a whole person. And if you try and separate me out and leave the spiritual out as much as the emotional or the physical, it doesn't happen. But if you affect one area, if I go work on my emotional area of my body and my mind, it will affect everything else. It just ripples out, and it's just about starting with small and simple things. It's not to overwhelm, and I think that's the biggest thing when people come in and they're like, I'm so overwhelmed. Like, we know, we've been there, and take it one day at a time and know it's going to get better. We're just the small and simple things. Let go of one thing in your life and add something. Right now, let's let go of, like, try not eating sugar or the gluten or whatever it is, or maybe not 5 bowls of ice cream. That was literally, that was a goal of mine at one point, because I had let go of so much weight, and I had some people saying, well, you didn't really let go of it that way. And so I took on this thing for a month that I was going to eat ice cream every night, and it wasn't going to be a little bowl, it was going to be a massively big bowl. And so I would eat my Heavenly Hash ice cream every night, and I did it faithfully. Sometimes I had chocolate peanut butter, because I like chocolate and peanut butter. I tell you what, I got very sick. No, I didn't put on 1 pound in 3 weeks of doing that, trying to add back to my body something that I knew wasn't healthy, because I was still managing my emotions. I was still doing the things I needed to do to keep my body healthy, other than eating the ice cream. So I won't do that again. But literally, let go of something and add it. Replace it with something. So when that fun experiment was over, I definitely let go of the ice cream for just a little bit. I still have it every now and then. But I added eating more fruits and vegetables. I added eating 1 more apple a day, having a green salad once a day. Greens are really good for you. And if you cook them right, you start to taste them, and they're good.
Yeah, we're just very mindful of what we put in. And if you're working diligently on it, you don't really want to add that to you feel so good, you don't really,
no,
you don't want it.
And at the beginning for me, 5 years ago, my actual goal was just to get out of bed. And I'm not going to lie, I was very down. I didn't want a diagnosis of celiacs. It was in everything. And I did not want that. And I had fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue, and I slept for hours.
She did. I'd come to her house like, you got to get going. It's like 10 o'clock.
And my actual goal was just to get out of bed. I had 2 kids that needed me. I had a husband that was needing me. And I had things I loved doing, and I couldn't even do them anymore. And I just remember being so sick that my goal was just to get out of bed. And so I just totally know what it feels like to where now I literally bounce out of bed, 4:30 in the morning. I've got my day going, and I am energized more than I ever have been, and it's a very natural energizing. It's not stimulated. It's just very driven, because I love helping people. I love doing what we do. It's just very satisfying in a way, going like, people are getting better. The people that show up, we get a help, and they do get better. They have huge results. That's like, way to go. You empowered your life. Yeah, we just stay connected, and we truly stay connected with our clients and everything that they do. It's just a fun way to stay connected. So
that's awesome. Oh, great. Yeah. So before we say goodbye, do you have any final parting words of advice? And then please give us your contact information of how we can get in touch with you.
I would just say, find someone to have as a resource. To us or somebody else. There's just too many people out there thinking they can do it on their own, and that I don't need that. I don't want to make a change. And it's like,
they go a few days, then they get discouraged.
They go through this cycle, and it's like, if you just find somebody, whether it's us or somebody else, and that you can get some help, and just having a support group, I think, is really huge.
A resource.
Having a resource, and that's why we created Core Frequency, because we didn't have a resource. Back years ago, there was nothing. We searched, and there was nothing, so we went and created it. So.
Hold on for just a minute. Sorry. I don't know what happened.
I like ending music. Yeah, that's kind of mood music.
I don't usually do that part. All right. I'm so sorry. Where were you at?
And my actual one was to keep it real, so it went right with it. Like, I think in life, if we are really real about what's going on in our life, and sometimes I remember that was the biggest, strongest part of my life, was when I needed to admit that I needed help with things, that I needed help with somebody else outside of Monica. Monica couldn't keep doing it by herself because I wasn't getting the results, and I needed to find somebody that had gone through it, and we sought after very great mentors, and we are trained very well, and we've had people around us our whole life that have taught us, and it does take going. I think it's a sign of huge strength. I don't think it's weak by any means to ask for help and get resources, because we're not here to do it alone, and keeping it real and throughout life.
Because I know I stayed really silent through my journey through infertility. I don't think my family even knew what I was going through.
She barely even talked to me.
I was struggling so much, and I didn't reach out to any kind of support. I just thought, I can do this all by myself, and it's been so fun to help people through that. So I just find a resource, find a someone that can help guide, and especially, that's what we're here for at Core Frequency. So we love to help that.
Awesome. And then our connection, you can go to our website, you can email us, at office@corefrequency.com. That's our office one. You can email us any kind of question. We would love to review them, and we get back very promptly, within 2 to 3 days.
3 days.
Yeah, I'll just put that out there, 2 to 3 days. Or Facebook's one where we do check on, like we said earlier, we do lots of fun videos. There's also...
They can contact us through phone number if you're interested. If people do like phone numbers, 801-896-3640 is our number. We love to speak. We love to train.
That sounded so old school. If you want to call us by number, we need to put a quarter in before.
Some people do like to talk to a real person. Oh, dear.
Okay,
It's fun.
Yeah.
Facebook's probably the funnest way just because you can see our videos. We update that so frequently that it gets
it's current. It's so
it is.
current.
And people can, communicate. So just go like Core Frequency on Facebook, and it's a lot of different resources that people can turn to us.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It's been fun. I'm going to have more double guests again because it's been fun. I appreciate you coming on. I'm super interested in this. Like I said, I've had issues like this too. So I can see this is going to be a huge help to our listeners. So thank you.
You are so
our
welcome.
pleasure, for sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to The Luminous Mind. To learn more about Core Frequency, go to our show notes at theluminousmind.net. Be sure to become a subscriber to our free email list and consider joining our program by going to the scheduling tab to become a fire starter today. Help support the podcast by making all your Amazon purchases through the free Amazon widget on our website. Also, sign up to receive 2 free audiobooks from Audible at theluminousmind.net. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Google+. Get our audio content on YouTube, iTunes, and Stitcher. To help us grow, consider telling your friends about us. Leave us a review. Tell us how we can help you so together we can continue to light minds on fire and change the paradigm of education.